Hello and welcome to Some of My Friends Read Comics. We've got Vince.
Smack that gavel and bring this podcast into session.
We've got Chris.
Nice move, pal. But I don't drink lemonade.
Oh, I'm Kia. Hi, welcome to the show. Today we are reading some X-Men. Feels like it's been a while since we've read some X-Men, and somehow we have never read Days of Future Past. The classic 1980s X-Men story by Chris Claremont, art by John Byrne. Technically, it's really just a two-issue story. It's Uncanny X-Men number 141 and 142, but the whole trade kind of encapsulates that with 138 through 143. So we've read more of it, not all of it. We'll talk about that.
Yeah. And just to, if there's any super fans listening, John Byrne also credited as plotter. So he's not quite a co-writer, but he's also contributing to the writing.
I was reading that apparently Byrne was like, I want to do a story about the Sentinels, and Claremont was like, I don't got a story about the Sentinels. Like, I don't know what to do. And Byrne's like, I'm gonna make it. And so here we are.
Well, and after that, we're going to be moving on to our long read of Batman Knightfall. We're on chapter 13. We've taken like a 2-issue detour here with this weird Two-Face story. Yeah. And then I think we get back to Knightfall proper, but we'll be taking a look at that as well. But yeah, let's dive into Uncanny X-Men here. Worth kind of noting that this all takes place almost immediately after the Dark Phoenix saga, and Jean Grey has just died. Which we read.
We read 100 episodes ago, episodes 105 and 106, like in 2020. And I honestly, I was like, did we come right up to right after Dark Phoenix saga? We came right up to Days of Future Past, and we just stopped. So
pretty much, yeah.
Here we are.
I mean,
yeah, these are the next 4 issues. So here they are.
Yeah. Let's just go from there. Uncanny X-Men number 138.
I guess 5, because 138 also here.
Yeah.
It's technically here. It's honestly, it's all recap. It's Scott is at Jean's funeral, and he's just kind of thinking about all the lives he's lost, all the people he's lost in his life.
We do get a number,
and he's recapping.
We do get a number that Jean Grey lived from 1956 to 1980, which is weird. I guess they make her 24 at this time. Yeah. But usually Marvel Comics, maybe at this point, they actually put like dates. They don't write numbers down like this anymore.
No, they definitely wouldn't have done this in any time after like 5 years after this.
Yeah. But Scott is recapping like how they met in the X-Men, but it really just kind of turns into a ton of recap of all the X-Men history up until now.
All the times that Professor X died.
All the time when they fought Arcade, that's in there. When they fought Juggernaut's in there.
When Arcade was not a video game arcade, but like a fucking like weird, like boardwalk arcade concept, which is hilarious to me.
Yes, it does tell you how broken the X-Men was as a concept, that they have Professor X, like he first pretends to die, proves the X-Men are good enough, and then is killed by aliens.
Like on the next page in this recap.
Happens a lot.
Like this concept sucks, Stanley. Try again.
To be fair though, like Professor X like breaks most of these things. Like if I think of like the movies, like the first movie, Professor X is like comatose for the movie. And then the second movie, he's being like brainwashed by Stryker, so he can't do anything. And then the third movie, he's dead, so they can't. And then the prequel movie, he's still learning. So like they never can really like use him to his full potential. Like they never did in any of these movies.
And you kind of have to. You got to take him. I feel like that even shows up a little in the comics we're reading. You have to take him out of the equation as soon as possible so that he can't use his crazy power to just completely destroy everything. And it works in the movies, and it works in comics.
I mean, they never had him fight Audrey Plaza in the movies, though. That's a real drop the ball.
That would have been a good one. All this recap of their history ends. Scott goes and he's talking to Jean's parents, and then Empress Lilandra of the Shi'ar is there. She expresses her condolences. And then Scott says goodbye to Professor X, and Kurt's like, "What? You're leaving?" He's like, "Yeah, taking a leave of absence. Storm's gonna be in charge while I'm gone." Or maybe we don't learn that till the next issue. And he's out of there for now. Kitty Pryde then shows up at the mansion for. Is this her very first appearance?
No, it sure shit acts like
she
it
showed
is,
up.
but
Yeah, she actually showed up in the recap too, because she was part of the beginning of Dark Phoenix when they found her and Dazzler. That's when Jean first got mind controlled into working for the Hellfire Club.
yeah,
I got to admit, I skipped most of that recap. I
That's
pictures
all right.
and I was like, yeah.
I read the whole recap and I was like, oh, this is pretty interesting. Like if I had been like 10, I'd be like, oh shit, I gotta check out this stuff about the Shi'ar and some other things. So I liked it, considering like there's not much access.
I did
to other
have
comics.
that thought. Like 100%. If this was me back in the day, this would be like a great issue to have, because it would just be like, this is everything right here. I don't even need all those issues.
Yeah, there's some good Spider-Man issues in the 70s that are much like this, where he just like remembers his whole life before he like beats Mysterio in 6 pages.
Yeah,
it's I'm like, I appreciate this as a reread, because I'm like, yeah, this is okay. This is like catching you up on what you need to know going forward.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was weirdly written, because like Kitty Pryde's like in a scene, and then like 3 pages later, like Kitty Pryde arrives for the first time at the X Mansion. I'm like, well, then why was she in this other? And she showed up like 10 issues earlier, I think. But it sure acted like this was her first appearance ever, which actually dovetails really nice into the Days of Future Past story, if she is a brand new X-Man.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, and the cover of the next issue, which is "Welcome to the X-Men, Kitty Pryde. Hope you survive the experience," which starts a trend of X-Men issues that are titled that for like various people. When Havoc joins, when other people join, they're like, "Welcome to the X-Men, blank. Hope you survive the experience."
So my trade after this issue also had annual number 4 in here, which was kind of a Doctor Strange adventure. Again, I didn't read it. I kind of wanted to get to the main stuff here, but I did know that at the end of the issue, Kitty kind of shows her affection for Colossus for the first time. I was interested.
Does Nightcrawler fight Marjali Sardos or whatever, the magical lady that Mystique talks about later?
Maybe.
It is funny. I know there's stuff Chris Claremont couldn't put in these books, but I'm like, wow, he's really setting this up like right from the beginning. We'll get to it.
Okay. So jumping into Uncanny X-Men number 139, this ends up kind of turning into an Alpha Flight adventure in Canada with Wolverine, but there's still some applicable stuff here that is worth talking about. We start with a Danger Room drill. The core team right now is Angel, Storm, Wolverine, Colossus, and Nightcrawler. And Professor X and Kitty are watching. Angel is a bit rusty at this point. I guess he's been off doing his own thing, maybe not a ton of superheroing. He knocks Nightcrawler off of his trapeze and almost sends him into a fire, and Wolverine saves him. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, he rejoined right like during Dark Phoenix. And so, yeah, the storyline is like, he sucks.
Yeah. Plus, all his powers are just flying, and he's not even good at it. Like, man,
he's terrible.
What a bad X-Man.
I do like when he's like, he apologizes. He's like, it won't happen anymore. And Wolverine's like, yes, it will.
Yeah, it's definitely going to happen. Wolverine also does say Storm is a good new leader to replace Cyclops.
Yep. He smokes a cigarette, too, while saying that.
It's a cigar, I think.
It's a very tiny cigar. It looks like you color it a different color. It looks like a joint.
Is that a cigar?
Cigarette.
It looked like a cigarillo to me, maybe.
Yeah.
So and then Nightcrawler brings in lemonade. Somebody's like, hey, where's Nightcrawler? And he comes in with the lemonade because Professor X mentally told him to go get some lemonade because he thought it'd be a good idea. Okay.
Except for Wolverine, who's like, I don't drink lemonade.
Yes,
that was my quote.
Yep.
And he's like, good thing I brought you some beer.
There's also kind of a cute moment where Professor X, Wolverine calls him Charlie, and Professor X is like, hey, come on, man, call me Professor, or like, if you have to use my name, call me Charles. Wolverine's like, okay, Chuck. You see like a frustrated bubble over Professor X's head. I feel like that's so uncharacteristic for X-Men comics and for Professor X. So like in that moment, I was like, oh, that was very cute.
Yes, Wolverine is so irritating that he's able to get under Professor X's skin.
Mm-hmm. He also has a new brown costume that I think somebody asks him about. He's like, yeah, I just needed to change it. Professor X also says that Kitty needs a code name. He suggests Ariel, which sucks, and nobody likes it. And Storm is like, how about Sprite? So they go with that, which felt weird every time it popped up. I was like, oh, yeah, Sprite. Because of course they eventually change her to Shadowcat.
Which even Shadowcat feels weird to me. Because
she's just Kitty,
There's Kitty Pryde and there's Jean Grey. She's not Marvel Girl and she's not Shadowcat from where I came on board at least. And then it's really weird that like Professor X holds a little like glasses like a toast to Sprite, and I'm like, this feels like a Twinkie ad, like in the middle of the comic. The Coca-Cola company.
Well, and Kitty says something about pulling her tab. It's like, so you know that this is a soda and that there's going to be a problem copywriting this, right?
Yeah. So Wolverine is going to head to Canada to clean up some government employment things, some mix up at the office where they think he works there. I don't know. Nightcrawler's going to go with him. He wants to see Aurora again. I guess a member of Alpha Flight up there. Meanwhile, Storm takes Kitty to a dance studio with Stevie Hunter, who was a famous dancer that Kitty has seen, and she's a fan, and she's going to take lessons with her. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think they went to her apartment and she wasn't there in the Dracula issue we read last year.
Yes, I remember that. And they just kind of hung out there.
They just live in Stevie's
Stevie, like holding on to things because they just fucking break into Stevie's studio, and Stevie's like, "Welcome, glad y'all are here." He's like, "What the?
Yeah.
Who let y'all in?"
It's a true Tears of the Kingdom situation where they're like, "Oh, we want to go in the door, but something's blocking it. If only someone could go underneath and ascend above the door and like clean up the mop."
You think the X-Men mold their way up from the ground? Is that what it is?
Well, you definitely have to do that in the new Zelda game.
That's what Link would do.
I see.
He would ascend up and clean it up, and then some little bird guy would be like, "Wow, you did it!" But here it's Storm instead.
There's a lot of bird guys in Zelda, aren't
there? There are.
And this does happen. The X-Men do this a lot. They did it in that Dracula issue we read. They do it here in Canada, where Wolverine and Nightcrawler go. We get a ton of backstory on the wife of this guy in Alpha Flight, who I took down all these notes because I thought they were going to be important. And now I'm not even going to read them. She's not important, except the X-Men show up in her house and she's just like, "Oh, I'm so happy to see you." It's
important to know Wolverine has a type.
Yeah.
What's his type?
Redheads who are married to nerds.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. But
so you guys they have their my wife is what we're saying.
That's right. If Wolverine met your wife, he would immediately start flirting with him and planning your murder.
Wow.
She breaks into his house, comes in her home, because she is worried about a break-in, and holds a broom, and then he goes, "Hey, it's sexy, how you doing?" And then she calls him
She's
Logan.
so excited.
Is this the first time we heard about? And then Nightcrawler's like, "Your name's Logan?" I don't know if this is the first time we've ever heard the name Logan.
It is the first time in X-Men comics, that he goes by Logan.
Wow.
Weird, wild, just man.
Claremont
randomly just knocking him out of the park here, or maybe Byrne. Who knows?
Just mentioning it, putting it out there.
Yep, slow comes for what's going on.
But the rest of this is Alpha Flight stuff, and I really just kind of skipped through it. I honestly have zero interest in Alpha Flight. There was a Wendigo, werewolf stuff. I don't know. Is there anything y'all thought was cool?
I wrote a book called The Wendigo, which based on Robert Louis Stevenson's short story, The Wendigo. You can find it by me, Vincent Goodwin. But I honestly forgot what The Wendigo was.
Amazon, probably.
Yeah, probably on Amazon. Where you can also find this podcast. Now that Amazon has podcasts.
This podcast is on Amazon?
Yep. It's on Amazon and YouTube. You can find us on our YouTube channel. Now YouTube also has podcasts as of last week. YouTube Music. You can find us there too.
Wow.
Yeah.
You don't even have to have it open in a corner of your cell phone screen anymore with no visual.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You can just go through YT Music. Exactly.
Wow.
But
they think about everything.
But the Wendigo is apparently a thing that eats man and then turns into a monster or some shit like that. I wrote the book on it, but don't worry about it. They didn't need to pay.
Don't remember it, apparently. For a great movie about Wendigos, I recommend the movie Ravenous with Guy Pearce and what's his name from Trainspotting? Not Ewan McGregor.
Oh,
so we're saying
Robert Patrick. Not Robert Patrick. Robert, the one that was in the Full Monty and James Bond.
Yeah. Is it Carlisle?
Yeah, there we go.
All right, so I think we're saying none of us read this Alpha Flight story, so let's move
I
on.
read it.
Okay. What was in there? Anything good?
I mean, it's fine. You know, it's like they're trying to find there's a mother and her baby that are missing, a child who's been injured. The Wendigo is on the loose. The shaman and Snowbird are there with Guardian. Guardian is the nerd aforementioned.
Wait, I thought it was Vindicator that she was married to. Was
Oh
I
yeah,
wrong?
it's the same guy.
Okay, got it.
I guess he at the time is going by Vindicator. Later he'll go by Guardian. But yeah, he's it's the three of them, and he gives some explanation. It's like, I wish the rest of the team wasn't dealing with something else. And there's Louise Simonson's note of like, see, Machine Man issue for that. I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm not gonna do that.
And the thing, it was like a late numbered Machine Man, like at least lasted a year. I'm like, there's a Machine Man solo that lasted over 10 issues. Okay.
Yeah,
also,
apparently.
You mentioned Louise Simonson. Vincent pointed this out when we were reading it, that this was she was going by her maiden name at this point before she married Walt Simonson. She was Louise, what was
Jones.
it, Jones?
Well, actually, not her maiden name. It was her first married name. She had been divorced by this time. Just we got ahead of the thing. Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Louise. Sorry, I didn't.
Yeah, but Wheezy, Louise Simonson, then married Walt Simonson, who did like the Beta Ray Bill comics and stuff that we covered years ago. And she created Power Pack, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm,
Yes.
mm-hmm.
And Apocalypse.
All right.
Wow.
Played by Oscar Isaac. He'll be coming up later in this episode.
Wow.
All right. So
she knew Oscar Isaac would later play Apocalypse.
Yeah, Oscar Isaac's most famous Marvel Comics role, right?
Yes, who could forget?
what?
Just like
okay.
John Hamm is Mr. Sinister in a deleted scene.
Is he really? God.
I don't even think they have put it out. I know they filmed something with him as Mr. Sinister for New Mutants, and then I think they cut it.
That'd be good.
Wow.
All right.
Which they tie together because they were both in Sucker Punch, Oscar Isaac and John Hamm. So secretly, that's a New Mutants connection.
My joke is that Oscar Isaac also plays Moon Knight and Spider-Man 2099. And Apocalypse.
It's true.
And Kevin Bacon also played Mr. Sinister, which brings it.
No, he played
All
Sebastian
No?
Shaw,
Yeah.
Oh shit! I fucked up.
who will appear in an issue.
Will appear. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going here. All right.
There are
Uncanny
no
number
days.
140.
There are no days in future pasting right now, so I'm kind of bored at this point.
Yeah. All right. So
This
so
is
a
all
little bit
setting up.
more-
Yeah.
a little more
Shadowcat's
build
joining
up.
the team. Kitty Pryde's joining the team, and there's Canadian stuff afoot.
Yeah, we're gonna keep skipping the Canadian stuff. All right. Angel is talking to Colossus. He's like out tending the field because he's just like the nicest guy in the world or something. Professor X is talking to Angel about like teammates, how you feeling, and he's like, I don't know if this Wolverine guy's safe. He might go crazy and kill some people. So Angel is a total square.
Yeah, which the funny thing is that Angel was the like rebel of the team in the 60s. So it's like he's been replaced by a new Wolverine. Where we're like, we don't need this guy. He sucks.
Storm is heading to pick up Kitty from the dance studio. She gets accosted by this creepy dude. So she makes a mini storm above him. I really like the art here as
Panel
well.
of
It's
the
very
week. How she
Great
one of the
comedy.
panel of the weeks. There's one in the Two-Face that's probably my panel of the week. But man, those guys hitting on her, and she's just like, oh, that's convenient that just like a little storm just ruined your entire suit right now. Just really weirdly right above you. It's a perfect panel. Good job, John Byrne.
Great.
Yep. Good.
Kitty and the dance teacher are getting along really well to the point, and Storm is having some weird feelings about Stevie. And it's almost like maybe a little bit of jealousy. But I don't know. I had some weird feelings about Stevie as well. I don't know what's going on with her. Something feels off. But they refuse her offer for a meal because they have to head home. Kitty phases into the car, and Storm's like, whoa, you can't just do that shit in public. You gotta be careful. We then finish the Alpha Flight stuff with Nightcrawler and Wolverine and the Wendigo. We get a little teaser at the end of this issue where there's a maximum security prison in New Mexico, and a guy named Fred J. Dukes breaks out. He's a big guy. I didn't remember who he was. I was trying to remember. I was like, I know I've heard that name. But some lawyer lady taught him how to implode his cell and get out of there.
Just like in X2.
Is that what? There's a lot of stuff in these issues that reminded me of X2 for sure. But he's got to get outside the prison, and he's going to join the new Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
I do like. I think it's at the when Shadowcat is like, oh, I like dancing. That's why I want to go see, Stevie, because like I'm so smart, it's hard for me to relate to other kids. And
Oh yeah.
and Storm is like, wow, she's so mature and cool.
Yeah. So let's get into the main event here. Uncanny X-Men number 141. This is the official start of Days of Future Past. And we started off in the future. We are in a shitty. It doesn't tell us that, but you pick up on it pretty quick. There's a very old Kate Pride, not Kitty. She's older now, and she's in the future, and it's Manhattan, and it sucks. It's terrible, and she's supposed to meet Wolverine. It's like in the 70s or something in Manhattan, typically a nice area, but it's bad now.
Yeah, I mean, Escape from New York is what, 2 years earlier, something like that. There's big Escape from New York.
No, I feel like Escape from New York is mid 80s. This is 1980.
When was Escape from New York? Was it mid 80s? Really?
I thought it was like yeah, I want to say. Let me look that up. But Kia, I do know this takes place in New York 2013, which is when you moved to New York.
That is when I moved to New York. This takes place the year I moved up because I was so excited to see the Sentinels.
Escape from New York is 1981, by the way. So
it does predate it. It's not by much.
It's just in the water. John Carpenter could be reading X-Men though. I would fully buy
that. So Kate gets caught up with some thugs. We learn that she's wearing a power dampener. She can't use her powers right now.
I like
Wolverine
this,
comes in. Yeah,
I like
Wolverine comes
Kate.
in to save her.
Sorry.
No, keep going.
I like they call her Kate Pride. Just to immediately establish like she's more mature than Kitty Pride. Like it's a good shorthand to be like she's now grown up. It's well done.
Yep. Wolverine doesn't use his claws to save her because using his powers will alert the Sentinels, I suppose. I don't know how that works with his healing factor. But they save the day. Go ahead.
Do either of you know, because John Byrne, I think he talked about it. I forget where. Do you know who he modeled Kitty Pride and Kate Pride is supposed to look like in big 80s actress? 70s, 80s actress.
I got a little bit of like Susan Sarandon vibes from some of the. But that would have been before her time, though, maybe.
I mean, she was around. I do see that, but it's actually someone who was even less well known at the time. Really, she was like in Annie Hall in a cameo, and she was maybe in one other thing, and then she was in a big movie that gets parodied or I guess referenced in a couple of issues.
No, I'm lost.
Sigourney Weaver is apparently who. So that's who he apparently modeled Kitty after, and so then they do that issue that's like an Alien ripoff in 2 issues from now.
Oh, okay.
Makes sense.
I can see that. I wasn't sure Sigourney was big enough just because of Alien to be on his radar, but yeah.
Yep. Well, he's a nerd, so he probably already knew about her, and then is like, oh, she's in a big movie.
Yeah.
So Wolverine gives this module to Kate that they're going to use for some resistance thing. I don't know, but it's protected so that the Sentinels can't track it or anything. So she's going to take it back to the base. And we learn now that the year is 2013. Everything is bad for mutants. Kitty lives at like some camp where the mutants are held. You've got humans. You've got like 3 categories of people. You got humans who are cool. You got like people who have the potential to like carry mutant genes or something, which you're bad and you're not allowed to breed. And then you've got mutants who are the worst people and they suck and they're kept in containment because they're terrible. And she gets back to the base. She's scanned by the Sentinels and like questioned for why she's back late. We see that everyone is dead. There's a mass grave there with like all the Fantastic Four, a bunch of the X-Men. The only X-Men who are still alive are Storm, Wolverine, Colossus, and Sprite, and that's it.
I don't feel
and
like
some people we don't get the names of.
I feel like
Chris, what'd you say?
And some people we don't get the names of.
Yes.
I feel like at this camp though they wouldn't put gravestones in these mass graves, like just like knowing how this. But I'm like, would they really put up gravestones?
I thought about
and then not in alphabetical order. So I'm like, what is the order? What's the concept here? Why do y'all do this? I was thinking a lot
Well,
about
I
this.
think they were just grouped together because like two of the Fantastic Four are behind two of the other Fantastic Four. But as to why, I did have that question as well. I was like, really? Why would they keep that? And then I realized for a morale destroyer.
Yeah.
Like if they've got to pass this mass grave every time they're coming back, like
Yeah.
damn.
That okay.
I
I'm
guess.
on board now. Okay.
I feel like Sentinels are. We kind of. I'll talk more about the Sentinels and everything that happened with them later. But
Yeah. I'm just going on record. I hate the Sentinels. I hate those guys. They're no good.
They are bad.
Hot
They're not
take
even.
from
They're
Chris.
just robots. They're not even programmed to be good or evil. They're just doing their job.
No, they're bad.
Okay.
Like
so-
Vision is a good robot who we all love. These
Are you
guys.
saying he's
no.
one of the good ones?
All right,
No.
so we've got our core X-Men who are alive: Storm, Wolverine, Colossus, and Sprite, and we've got Magneto there. He's in a wheelchair. He's kind of helped guide
I
the
like this reveal
guide
too.
the
They're
resistance.
I like this reveal because they're like, okay, who's the? Oh, we see a wheelchair. Okay, Professor. Oh, fuck, it's Magneto.
Magneto helping the X-Men, but he hates the X-Men.
Rachel Summers is there.
Did they
they're
say
gonna
that,
be
or
planning.
they just call her Rachel?
They call her Rachel. I assumed Rachel Summers.
I know it's
It
Rachel
is.
Summers, Rachel Gray, or something, but I don't.
Yeah.
Is that's never explicit in this book?
I don't think they give her full name, and she does like Franklin Richards is like her husband or boyfriend or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So that's Franklin Richards from Fantastic Four and Power Pack, or not Power Pack, but the hanging out with them.
Did they ever say Franklin Richards or just
Yes,
Franklin?
they did.
Okay.
Yeah, they
did,
said
yeah.
Franklin Richards,
Oh.
and it actually honestly confused me because Colossus is there looking like Reed Richards with his hair.
Yeah, with his
and so I
hair.
got thrown because Franklin Richards looks like Johnny Storm with the kind of like blonde hair there.
He kind of does, but I guess he looks like his mom. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, and
that's
that tracks
normal.
with me. I was just like, you say Franklin Richards, and I see this dude with like the silver temples, and I'm like, oh, that's him. And I'm like, no, wait, that's not. So I just had to remember. Okay, cool. But I like this, and I'm assuming is the first time that we ever have like futures where Magneto teams up with the X-Men.
Yeah.
Which is pretty predominant, obviously, in like Age of Apocalypse. But
Yeah. We also learned that Kate is married to Colossus at this point. And
I like that touch. Like you saw they're flirting just a couple episodes ago or issues ago.
yeah.
And now.
Yeah, and she's like, I loved you ever since I met you when I was a teenager, and you're like, oh boy.
It's a very lived in, like you can feel like the whole like the arc of like how we got to this future. I like it a lot. And considering it's like, what are we on? Page fucking 7?
It is interesting to me that my future me knows that whatever caused this big ripple in time was the thing that somehow also kept her from changing her name to Shadowcat. In this other alternate timeline, she never did that. She's just
she never
always
joins
been Fred.
Excalibur.
Yep.
Never went to England.
So they're planning this psychic thing for her. We don't like fully get an explanation of it, but you see kind of as it unravels what happens. But they are planning to send her consciousness into the past, into 1980, where like we've been reading X-Men comics, and that's how they're gonna like fix the past. So they do this drill, and then we kind of flash back to 1980. We see Kitty's first Danger Room drill, and she does it very well. The whole team is in like the control area, just like laughing at how quickly she made it through, and they're like, "Oh, Professor X spent so long on that, and she destroyed it." It's kind of cute that she did so well.
I mean, because she just phases through things. You can't touch her.
Yeah. And immediately afterwards, they're like going down to congratulate her, whatever. And then she just like passes out. And they're like, what happened? Oh my God, did something get her and we didn't realize? And she wakes up and, we also kind of throughout the last few issues, Kurt, Nightcrawler also kind of has the hots for Kitty Pryde a little bit. Or at least just wants her to like him at least. But he's, a little off being a little blue gremlin thing. But she kind of wakes up and she's like, "Oh my God, Kurt, so good to see you." Gives him a big hug. She's so excited to see everyone, and they're kind of confused. And she's like, well, first she's like, "No time to explain." And then she explains. She's back in time to tell them that today, on Halloween, the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants will murder presidential candidate Robert Kelly and Professor X and Moira McTaggart, and it'll set off a sequence of events that destroy the world in a nuclear holocaust. And Storm's like, I don't know about this. And Wolverine's instincts are like, I don't know. I think it's the truth. And Storm.
Wolverine's face when he's like, I know it sounds crazy, but the list is stands, talks, moves, smells like a
Yes,
woman.
yes,
You're like,
she
whoa,
smells like a
whoa,
woman.
whoa,
Whoa.
what?
This girl's like 13, man. Hold on. No, but she carries herself like a woman. No.
I mean, I get that. I get that. Like, you walk with a different maturity. With
You
a
know what,
different
though? That is an
consciousness.
inside thought, though. He's keeping that inside. He's not
He
saying.
he doesn't say
Yeah.
that. He does have a shocked look on his face, like, uh-oh.
But Storm's like, can't afford not to go with it. So they're going to believe her.
But what we're also being told is that Ronald Reagan has to win or else the world will be destroyed. That's what also the stakes are.
Not necessarily. It's just Ronald Reagan can't die. It's more what it is.
No. Ronald Reagan has to win and Senator Kelly cannot become, or I guess, what is it? Because I don't know. Is Kelly running against Reagan?
I see. I see what you're saying. I thought it. Okay.
Right.
I
The
thought you
best
were
possible
saying-
future is Ronald Reagan for
Yeah.
president.
There's okay. So
I do like the floating heads when she's like describing. It's like it's not enough once the Sentinels take over to get rid of mutants. They get rid of everyone, and it's like Ghost Rider, Spider-Man, just everybody.
They got Dr. Doom. They got him. They deposed the president of Latveria. All right, cool.
Yeah, Black Panther, Sovereign King of Wakanda. Okay,
Daredevil.
Sentinels get him.
Daredevil is both on the Sentinels' radar and the X-Men's enough to give a shit.
Well, I think this is where things get very interesting for me. So they're flying to like Washington D.C. or whatever, and she's filling them all in on everything. That like Robert Kelly had concerns about the number of mutants and all that, and killing him created this hysterical panic. And this anti-mutant candidate was elected president in 1984, and they tried to make a mutant control act, but the Supreme Court struck it down. And I liked his little podium slogan stuff. It was like, America, it's 1984. Do you know what your children are? I'm like, oh, good. And they created a new batch of Sentinels who were created with the directive to eliminate the mutant menace. And so the robot Sentinels were like, okay, the best way to do that, take over the country. And so the Sentinels are in control of everything, and they've just been programmed to continue to eliminate the mutant menace. And they will do that by depressing them with graves. They will do that by taking over the country and killing the leaders
Dr.
of other
Doom.
countries.
Yeah.
Exactly. You got to kill Dr. Doom so that he can't take your power, so that you can keep killing mutants. It all makes sense to me.
Yeah, I mean that's basically where like I, Robot, the Asimov book, like had its conclusion with like the 3 laws of robotics are like a robot cannot allow humans to come to harm, blah 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 blah. Mm-hmm. And then the robots decide at the very end like, fuck, why don't we just like all put the humans in bubbles and then none of them will come to harm. We'll just enslave the planet. Perfect. And that's where iRobot ends. It's like, oh, okay. Well,
Is that before or after Will Smith is able to prove that one robot's bad?
after Alan Tudyk teams up with Will Smith. After.
I see. So back in 2013, Kate's body is still there. Peter's carrying it. The X-Men are just like running away from some Sentinel here. And a Sentinel vaporizes Franklin Richards. Oh my God. Rachel's having trouble concentrating afterwards, but they kind of talk her through it. We get a fastball special here. Colossus throws Wolverine into a Sentinel.
God, even it feels earned, despite the fact that we've literally known this future for 18 pages.
Yeah.
It feels earned. It's like, oh, buddy, we haven't done this in a long time. Like, it works. It works really well.
This issue felt very nice and dense. There's a lot going on. It did work very well. Colossus knocks over a building to take down 3 more Sentinels. Someone's like, oh, he used to be so peaceful, but the death of his children taught him how to hate. Maybe that's just a caption. Back in 1980, Mystique is at the Pentagon. She's infiltrated it. Her Brotherhood are in a room there. She's got Destiny, who's a precog. You've got Avalanche, who I feel like I barely saw him. We have Pyro and we have Blob. And Destiny is kind of helping them guide with their plan, but she's sensing a new random element she can't predict.
Was Destiny in that Age of Apocalypse story we read?
I think
On,
that was her.
In
Yes,
the
I
Savage
believe
Land
she
or
was.
Geonosis or something?
Yeah, I think she was there because there was definitely some precog stuff. Yeah, I remember her. And they head to this Senate hearing where Kelly is talking. Moira and Charles are there. This is where the murder stuff takes place.
Senator Kelly has got an election like in 3 days, and he's still like doing Senate work, which I guess is like an opportunity for him to do like campaign work. I guess.
Yep. This guy never quits. You can't just focus on your campaign. You got to do the job.
And so this is the first appearance of the new Brotherhood. It's not the first appearance, I don't think, of any of these characters. This is teaming up existing characters to fight I guess, this guy, Senator Kelly.
Yeah.
I do like that they state that the U.S. Senate has been described as the greatest deliberative body on earth. It also has seen noble times and shameful ones.
Yes.
Well, this is 1980, so they don't know.
They don't know.
They don't know how battle. I mean, like, it's just good to know. I guess not good to know, but it's like when we talk about like this Senate decorum has never been like this. The Senate's never been this. It's like no, because Claremont in 1980 thought it was shitty too. So there we go. Everybody's always had problems with the Senate.
So Storm and Kitty and Peter also enter, and Charles kind of notices them, and he's like talking to Storm telepathically, and kind of fills
he's
him
like,
in.
Storm, no time to telepathically tell me. Just let me read your mind.
And she's like, all right. He also, I don't remember if it's now or a little bit later, he also like reads Kitty's mind to see if it's the truth, and he's like, oh shit. Okay. The Brotherhood busts down a wall, they enter, and they call themselves the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Like, I don't know. I feel like calling yourself evil is interesting. But the X-Men then reveal themselves.
We're the evil cause. Like we're not furthering any true like acceptance agenda at this point.
I guess it's like a post-irony thing where they're like, well, if they want to call us evil, we're evil.
We're evil.
If I have to wear skulls all over my belt, I will.
To prove to you, yeah. But this leads straight into issue number 142. We got a big fight with the two teams.
I would like to take a pause. There was a really interesting implication in this issue where they're like, why Kitty? Why did you do through Kitty? And I mean, like story reasons, like it makes sense, like because you can show that Kitty had like the most change, and has grown up and blah 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 blah, like storytelling reasons. But they said like because Kitty was new and hadn't built up her psychic defenses, which made her really easy to possess. And I'm like, that's fucked up.
Makes sense.
Like it's a really like practically like good reason, but it's fucked up. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's. I just like that they acknowledge that.
Why would they send her to the day of the event? Couldn't they do like a day before? Like give them some time. A week before would be great. Take out the Brotherhood before they even attack.
I think the movie did that because it gave like Wolverine because they. Spoiler alert! They obviously change it, and they sent Wolverine back. So it was Hugh Jackman of like the future went back to Hugh Jackman of the 70s because he's still around, but he hadn't met the X-Men at that point, obviously. And so they used that, and they used Kitty Pryde in the Rachel. Elliot Page was playing Kitty Pryde, and they used
weird.
Yeah, it's weird, right? But they used Kitty somehow psychic powers, I guess, to send Wolverine back, and then Wolverine had like a week. And they stopped Bolivar Trask's assassination is what they were trying to do in that movie. But it's still like Mystique doing it in DC.
But
like,
of course, in that version, Mystique is one of the X-Men who we all love. One of our favorite heroes.
Right. But I mean, it's funny. Like they actually like because I'm more familiar with the movie. I'm like, oh wow, they actually used a lot of this book for the movie. They
really did. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like I know Claremont is ripping off like some British sci-fi that I'm sure he read.
Byrne said it was specifically a Dalek story from Doctor Who.
Yeah. Like not surprising for Claremont's references. But for like comics, like I don't think there'd ever been anything like this.
Yeah. So we get a nice lady cop shows up to escort Charles and Moira to safety
Uh-oh.
in the middle of this two fight.
A lady cop with dark hair.
I instantly went, uh-oh, because it's Mystique. Oh my god. She knocks out Charles with like some gas or something to inhibit his powers.
Charles first goes like, he goes, I scanned Kitty's mind. She's legit. She's from the future. I've proven I can scan minds. Let's follow this nice lady who I won't scan her mind. It's Mystique.
Well, I think she didn't explain.
Rude.
She explained why. Hold on. Something got explained
she
that
has
was
blockers
like, hey.
like a page later. Is what she said. But like literally in the same panel, he's like, she's cool. I scanned her mind. Let's follow this lady.
It would be rude, Vince, to scan the cop's mind. You don't even want to know how many dogs she's thought about killing.
So she takes Professor X out of the equation, like as a requirement. And she's like, haha, I'm sure we'll prevail because Storm is such a new leader and she still sucks. And then Storm is also feeling that too. She's like, oh, this whole thing is broken down. And this fight spills outside. We've got Colossus versus Blob there. Pyro's making a giant flame monster. Nightcrawler versus Nightcrawler, and one of them is Mystique. Yeah, that's pretty good.
I do love that like Wolverine's like, I know how to solve this, and she gets his claws out, and Storm is like, no, this is not a problem that involves murdering anyone.
He's like, Storm is real Nightcrawler will bamf away.
But Storm is like, yes, you have to put your claws away, Wolverine. She's mentioned this to him, I think, in the last issue maybe as well. But like, she doesn't want the optics of him clawing someone up. They're like, we're trying to prove that mutants are good, so don't stab anybody, okay?
X-Men 1 rejected this.
Yeah. I really feel like the X-Men should have a protocol that like, yo, if you are fighting a clone version of yourself, it's probably Mystique. Use your powers right now so we know which one of you is you. Like
they should have that, shouldn't they?
That should be a standard protocol.
If Professor X has like a class where he's teaching psychic defenses, he should also like have like a safe word that everyone on the team knows to say. They just say like salamander, and they're like, "Oh, that's not Mystique."
But then they have to. But then they'll have to change it every time like an X-Men like switches over to the Brotherhood.
That's fine.
But yeah, that's
like
you
can switch it every time.
I guess like teams do that with like
it's an ongoing class. Yeah. I mean, every semester you gotta buy the new book. You gotta pay $100.
Learn the new safe word. Because I guess
if somebody leaves, if somebody leaves the team, you should change the safe word in case they turn evil.
Yeah. Yeah, new version, like 1981 edition. The word is different. All the latest updates on who the villains are. We got to know what the Blob's up to, and new safe word.
Yep.
It's no different than being going to a new football team. You're like, we got to change all our audible calls.
Exactly. That coach used to be on our team. We got to change everything.
We do have Angel present as well. I feel like they barely. Like they didn't remember to draw him. They just mentioned like, oh yeah, he went and helped some of these random troops get.
He showed up as
himself.
As himself at the trial or something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but I don't want to skip over because that was what I was hinting at earlier. So Kurt punches himself. She turns into Mystique, and he's like, "Your skin, your eyes. If this is indeed your true form, my God, we're so alike." And Mystique is like, could it be, Kurt Wagner, that you were not so unique as you once thought? And he's like, how do you know my name? And he's like, ask your mom.
Yeah, this was very like, it definitely reminded me of that scene in X2 when she's like, oh, we shouldn't have to, all that stuff. That was a scene that is stuck in my memory.
And
but it's also like this is seeding in their first meeting ever on screen. Like, this is her mom, or this is Nightcrawler's mom right here.
And this is 1980, and that wasn't official confirmed until Age of Apocalypse, right?
No, it's confirmed in an issue of X-Men Unlimited in like 1992 or 3. It's I think after Claremont leaves already.
So it's like over a decade, but they seeded it this early. Wow.
Yes. Seeded from the first appearance of like, is Mystique Nightcrawler's mother?
This book, as for as dense as it is, like really like seed stuff that makes you think like they're like Kitty's a new member. I'm like, Kitty as a reader has been with this book for a year, but they're like, she's never done anything. So I can understand that like maybe there's some like slow plotting that goes on like with this like. Yeah, we seeded this, but we're not going to pay this off for 15 years. Buckle up, y'all.
I wish we had the version, because I read these back in the day, meaning like 10 years ago, with the ads and letters pages. The letters pages go insane when Kitty shows up. Like every letter is either pro or con Kitty. Like every letter.
Wow.
Mostly pro, but some people are like, you've ruined the book. You've jumped the shark. This is it. Mostly they're like, I'm in love with this character. She's the greatest.
Yeah, if I'm 15, I'm like, Kitty's cute and Cyclops was boring. This is an upgrade.
It's a good trade.
Yeah, all the like 21-year-old guys, all the George R.R. Martins that are 30 years old are like, you've ruined it. I shan't pay 25 cents for this book anymore.
All right, so the fight ends here. Colossus knocks out the Blob. Storm takes down Pyro. Nightcrawler takes down Mystique. They have that conversation. Was Avalanche in this fight? I don't remember seeing him.
He's got the silver suit. I don't.
Yeah, he's barely in it.
I don't
He
remember
goes
him
Blob.
doing anything.
Oh no! When Colossus punches him.
I don't know how he got taken out.
Yeah, I mean, Bob falls on him.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. Then back in 2013, Peter, Wolverine, and Storm have infiltrated some Sentinel base. We get a fastball special. Going to take out this other Sentinel they're sneaking up on. But no, he senses it and turns around and fucking vaporizes Wolverine. Oh my God. He's done. He's dead. He's just metal bones.
Yeah, just metal on the ground.
Just metal on the ground. God damn. Storm is pissed. She takes that one down with some lightning, and then some more show up.
I love that
Storm
every Sentinel dies with a Squazark. Every time.
And then Storm gets taken. She gets stabbed through the body with like a big old stake. Oh my God.
I really got to do a count of how many times somebody gets stabbed through the back in Marvel Comics.
A lot.
It's
a lot.
often.
Yeah, this predates Elektra by about a year and a half.
No shit. Okay, so it's not even referencing. Wow. Okay.
And they did the same kind of shadow thing. You know, when somebody's getting stabbed like that, you just have to do the shadow.
Well, it's like you had again. I was joking about it being 25 cents. Like the comic code is approving this. You can't show like a gore coming out of their chest cavity.
Mm-hmm. Colossus kind of rages and throws a Sentinel out the window. Rachel is downstairs. She's holding Kate in her arms, and she can feel them all like psychically dying. And she's just like, gotta hold on. Kate is kind of keeping an eye on Robert Kelly. She's not doing a very good job of it because Destiny has him cornered with a gun. She can't, like, her precog abilities can't pick up on Kate being there. And she's like, oh, I bet my time travel has made me invisible to her. And Kate kind of pushes her gun out of the way as she fires and saves Kelly's life.
It's a crossbow, actually.
Yeah, it's a crossbow. And then she wakes up.
Killer.
And the Brotherhood all gets apprehended except for Mystique, and Kitty remembers nothing about everything that happened. Yep. And that's it. No more future. Future reverted. A month later, President is meeting with Robert Kelly and Sebastian Shaw, and he has a new project to control the mutant threat and he's going to build new Sentinels. And guess who's in charge? Henry Peter Gyrich, that asshole. Friend of the show. We've seen him and stuff. Enemy of the show.
Yes, killed in X-Men 1.
Oh yeah.
Which is why he wasn't in the Days of
But
Future
hey,
Past.
you know what?
So
Cool story.
Robert Kelly is. I guess we have to assume that this is not the American president. This is not Jimmy Carter at this point. And Kelly is not running against Carter and or Reagan at this point.
Oh, I guess in a month we would have learned if Kelly won or lost.
Right.
We don't.
But
know.
he's still submitting something
he,
to the sitting president.
So I guess maybe he lost, and he's still just a senator. Who knows?
I guess you still can.
Senator Kelly is not the president of the Marvel Universe, though, in 1981, right?
No.
So, okay.
Yeah.
So I guess he lost.
And yeah, so Sebastian Shaw's only been around for he showed up I think the same issue Kitty did, so he's a relatively new villain, but it's the readers would know who that is. So like,
We saw him in
he's
Dark Phoenix, right? Isn't he involved with the Hellfire Club?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. Yeah, he shows up right after White Queen shows up. So and he was new then, and so this is his I guess second storyline appearance, and you see he's like in with the U.S. government. Which again, ironic. He's a mutant, but
they don't know. They don't know it.
He's working with the bad guys.
And Henry Gyrich, who's going to cause us shit. He causes the Avengers and the.
What was this his first appearance?
No,
or did
he'd
we already know
he'd
he was a
given
bad guy?
trouble during the Korvac saga.
Oh
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, we've already covered appearances of this guy. He's a pain in the ass for everyone.
And then the last issue of this trade, Uncanny X-Men number 143, we've actually already read this one as well. It's kind of a one-shot story where Kitty is alone at the mansion. It's Christmas and everyone's kind of gone. And it's kind of an alien situation like Chris mentioned. We did this back in episode 70 in 2017. Holy cow. So, feel free to check that out. Chris, you read it again?
I didn't read it again for this. I've read it multiple times. I do really like this story.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I didn't. Story.
It's a really good Christmas story. Yeah, go check out that old episode if you want to hear our thoughts on it. But we didn't bother reading it again because we've read it before. And honestly, these two issues were so dense. Like I kind of flipped through those earlier ones in the trade and everything. Like they're fine, but like these two are a really solid story. They hold up super well.
They really do.
Yeah, I mean,
Vince, why don't you go first?
Okay, sure. I mean, as I've been saying, like I think it like establishes like it's like post-apocalyptic future really, really well. Like it understands the stakes and like I mean it's like in 6 pages. Like you get the whole like handle of like these are the stakes of the story. And then I think it's like really interestingly plotted of like to avert this, we start in the future, and then to avert this, we're going back to the present day. Which is really interesting that like the movie like inverts that. They're like, we're going to the past version of the X-Men to avert our future. With the prequel cast. It's very, very interesting how they chose to do the movie, but like this is just like a very solid comic. I can understand why like I would have assumed it would have been longer than 2 issues because it's so dense and like just like it's just a really well done 2-parter of a comic that like would stick in your mind for a long time. It's really good.
Chris, how about you?
Yeah, I really enjoy this. Again, this is like to me what a good team book looks like. What's so reading it as an adult with my analytical mind, my robot like brain, I'm able to, yes, exactly, as a sentinel. It's so good at how quickly we're like, Nightcrawler wants to be friends with Kitty, but he's not. And so we're able to see like when Kitty comes back as future Kitty, she is immediately like accepting Nightcrawler. And he's like, oh, something's different. Storm is like, sort of this older sister for Kitty. Like all of these relationships are like so fast. And even like the relationships that don't get a lot of story, like Wolverine respects Storm more than he respects Cyclops. Like in like a page where like, oh, okay, he'll listen to Storm because he likes her. But he's like, I wouldn't do this for Cyclops because I hate him. Like it's so good, and like there's so many little relationships as far as what character feels what about who, and I think it's just it's so dense, and that's what is the promise of these early X-Men books. So there's so many mysteries being seeded, you really don't know where it's going. Like that's what's so cool about it.
Yeah, it's so wild to me how great Chris Claremont was in this X-Men run of his. It's legendary status, but well deserved. Which is always surprising when I try to read like his modern stuff, I guess in the 2000s or whatever. But yeah, this was just like incredible.
Yeah, I was joking earlier about the George R. R. Martins clicking their tongues about how X-Men was no good anymore. I just looked at the Demon issue on Marvel Unlimited does have a letters page, and look at this, a letter from Kurt Busiek. He says, "I have a complete collection of X-Men. But issue 138 is my last issue. I quit."
What? Is this before he'd even joined Marvel?
Yes, this is he starts doing like Power Man and Iron Fist in like a year and a half.
What? So is he mad?
So this would be college student age.
Is he mad that's a recap issue? Is he mad that he didn't like the Dark Phoenix saga? What was his deal?
No, he says for the past 2 years, I've watched the book degenerate, watched X-Men become a perversion of once they once were. I first decided to stop buying during the Hellfire Club storyline, but held on for sentimental reasons and a vague hope that things would get better. During Dark Phoenix, I again decided to quit, but upon hearing that what the conclusion would be, decided to stick around until Cyclops left. And now I can no longer justify buying the X-Men, not even to keep my collection complete. Each issue hurts too much.
Wow, Kurt. Wow.
Kurt, we
Amazing.
usually
Again, he's a college student, so he's an idiot.
This is like the opposite of that, like that Onion headline. The worst person in the world made a good point. It's like the opposite. Like the best person in the world made a really bad point. But also, like, you know, to Kurt's
respected
credit,
comic, writer has terrible take.
I mean, but that's probably good. That, like, I don't know if Kurt ever wrote X-Men, but X-Men is where most good writers go to die. They like a lot of good writers cannot write X-Men. So
I don't think he ever did. I don't remember him ever handling it. If he did, it would have just been like a spin-off or like not a main X book.
Yeah. And it would have been like an X-Men First Class kind of thing where he just covers like the original team in that era.
Yeah, like some stupid like 6-issue like, oh, we're recapping the 1960s X-Men stories for a new generation or whatever.
X-Men Chapter 1 or something, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, Kurt.
That's
Dark
so
Phoenix
funny
is where he
your
stepped
breaking
off.
point.
You know where X-Men's like at its peak, where it's just like firing bangers, like every single thing that you would talk about with like the cartoon or like basing movies off of, like Dark Phoenix twice, Days of Future Past. You know what? Fuck this. But also, this is like in like the same year, 12-month span, they did Dark Phoenix and Days of Future Past. That's insane.
Wow.
That's insane to me.
What a run.
But again, you're just like, no, I don't like this. I liked that when, and Professor X faked his own death.
That did make me laugh.
An alien invasion.
Like that's flipping through the recap issue. Like so much of it is recap of the first 70 issues of X-Men, which were not good. It was filled with a lot of terrible stuff in there. Like before Giant Size X-Men, the series was really pretty garbage.
And Giant Size X-Men is also like what, 1975, and that's Claremont coming to the book, right? So
he doesn't do that first Giant Size, but he's like the next issue of Uncanny when they fight Count Nefario, which we've covered.
Okay, so this is like Claremont's been with the book for like 5 years at this point, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was bi-monthly, so he hasn't done 60 issues. He's done like 30 some issues.
Okay.
Because he came in like issue 95 or something like that, and this is what 138 is where he's saying this has gotten bad.
Okay.
So it's been about 40 issues in 5 years, and he's had enough.
He's had enough. No more X-Men for Kurt Busiek. But I think we should start moving on to Knightfall here. Anything else we want to say about X-Men before we
I like it. I like the movie a lot. I really like the X-Men Days of Future Past.
I never saw that movie.
Directed by a monster, but a good movie. Really, it's probably my favorite X-Men movie. I like it. I really like that one a lot.
It is shocking and I was shocked even how much Mystique works into the main plot of it.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, they really tied all of this together with like Wolverine time travel, Mystique assassination. Like it's all here.
Yeah, because having not read the comic, I'm like, they just realized they accidentally fell into having Jennifer Lawrence, who's an Academy Award winner by that point. The movie came out. And they're like, let's make her the star of this X-Men movie. Like, no one wants Mystique to be the star. And like, no, we're basing it off the comic. What the fuck? Really? Okay. All right. Well, there you go.
It's crazy. It's what's so crazy. To plug my other podcast, Your Stupid Minds, in Dark Phoenix, when everyone is like, Mystique, we love you so much. You're the greatest of all of us. It's just like, really? Everyone loves Mystique.
What a time.
Very good. Maybe I'll watch that movie. Probably not. On to some Knightfall, though. We are on chapter 14 of Knightfall. So chapter 13 and 14 were a weird little Two-Face side story. In chapter 12 is when, I guess chapter 11 is when Bane broke Batman's back. chapter 12 was them hunting for this medicine that he needed, and they put it in there, and they're like, now we wait. And now while we're waiting, Robin is recounting this adventure with Two-Face. And Batman has been captured by Two-Face. Some of his thugs knocked him into the water at the end of the last issue, and he's on trial for his crimes. Two-Face has like a jury of some thugs there to watch as he questions Batman and everything. And Two-Face is straight up crazy here. He's like shooting at his own people.
He kidnapped
Whoever
the
was playing the
judge.
judge. Yeah,
He kills the judge, right?
That's my panel of the week. The way the judge like flies across the panel. Good job, Klaus Janson. Great work.
It's good. It's good. The art in this really is good for a story that is ultimately very, very forgettable. The art is just really fun to watch, fun to look through.
Yes,
but
I do like, like as much as I don't like his characterization in the Arkham games, Two-Face, where he just shouts like legal non sequiturs. Like, well, that's what he does in the comic right here. Like, if you need, like, Two-Face wouldn't do that. You just open this issue and be like, he does it right here. What are you saying?
Yep.
You say Two-Face doesn't just shout change of venue denied, and you're like, what?
I like that Chris has got upset that Two-Face isn't as much like a lawyer, and then established a lawyer defense that Two-Face does speak like this. That's amazing.
It's he does. It's just not legal nonsense. That's all he says all issue.
Robin has been trying to like track Two-Face back at the Batcave, and he finds him and he swoops in on a wrecking ball to save the day, and
like
everything's fine.
And I do like Alfred's like, I don't know how to use this thing, which almost gets Tim killed, but it's pretty fun.
Yeah. So they save the day back in the present.
Well, no, wait.
Two-Face almost falls.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
go ahead. Sorry, say again.
Yeah, Two-Face almost falls, and then Robin is like kind of cool with like letting him die, and the Batman's like, we're not doing this, man. Like, we're not as bad as the bad guys. And Robin's like, I still would have let him die. That's what I would.
Yeah.
And then
this whole thing.
Cut to the present, and he's like, man, Batman chewed me out. This is the last conversation we had. That fucking sucks. I bet he's gonna. I mean, that's the worst conversation. He's gonna die mad at me. That fucking sucks. This is bullshit.
Because Batman had told him, like, I don't need your help. Stay here. It's too dangerous. But he made the decision to go after him, right?
Yeah.
And then they're back in the present, and the drug that they got, the dodecahedron, but it's the decadron. It worked.
12-dimensional back.
Yeah. And Bruce is like opening his eyes. He wakes up, and he tells Robin, "You did great, Robin. Your judgment about Two-Face was good."
There's no fucking way that Batman coming out of coma, those are the first words out of his mouth. There's no fucking way. Not after the night he just had, that he's going to remember something from 3 weeks ago.
Tim's face. Tim's like, yeah.
He's like
freeze frame.
And like crying, smiling. It's the greatest moment of his life. Man. All right. These would have been much better as like one issue during the actual event, instead of like, all right, we know some really cool shit is happening. Let's detour back to a Two-Face story from when all this other stuff was happening. Like, it's fine. It makes sense for Robin. Maybe it does make sense as like a Batman waking up to give him some praise. I don't know.
This should have been published. There was no Robin ongoing, right? I think we've established at this point.
No, yeah, it's about to. It's gonna start in a few months.
Because that's that's where this should be. It should be in a Robin ongoing. That's like the weird tie-in to Knightfall. Like, that's what this should be.
Yeah.
But
but whatever, it's fine. I don't even think we said the series this was in. It's Showcase 93, a 12-issue miniseries that just focused on villains. This was Two-Face, and a weird little divergence.
There's like
again,
Peacemaker
Deadshot and Peacemaker Chapter 3 was the second story.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I still can't believe that Peacemaker's a real character. I thought he was made up for Suicide Squad in that TV show. I really did. I had no idea.
It is insane. James Gunn reading this comic in 1993 was like, I'm going to make so much money for Warner.
Peacemaker's a great show. It's really a lot of fun.
It's amazing.
I've heard it's good.
I'm going to make such a sharp satire with this incredibly stupid character.
But yeah, we should read some Peacemaker at some point. Is there any Peacemaker to read? No.
The second part of this Showcase 93 issue.
Yeah, he teams up with Deadshot.
Probably not happening. But I think
fight Cobra, the cult, not the guy.
I see. But I think anything else we want to say about this issue of Knightfall here? Pretty quick one to talk about. There's really not much going on in it.
This issue was better than last issue.
It was. It was more action and more just like cool, beating people up. Fine. The Two-Face courtroom stuff, all great.
The judge flying across the screen.
Fun
Amazing.
to look.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But we're gonna be back to the core stuff next.
But next time, the core stuff, we are going back to Batman number 498. This is chapter 15 of Knightfall. I have no idea what's in it, but I'm sure we'll pick up on the main story. I guess Batman's
on the cover, so I bet she's
on the cover. Yeah. And then for our main read, we are going to do some Spider-Gwen. There's a new Spider-Verse movie that is out now. We had read Edge of Spider-Verse way back when the first Spider-Verse movie came out. And now we're going to go back to some more Spider-Gwen. We're going to read the first arc of her ongoing series from 2015. The trade for this, Most Wanted, also includes Edge of Spider-Verse number 2, which we read way back when. We might read it again as just like a remind ourselves. We'll probably just talk about 1 through 5. Vince, were you going to say something?
Yeah, it's not technically her ongoing. There's a mini series, and then her ongoing begins. But they're both starting 2015. So find the first. If you're looking on Marvel Unlimited, Spider-Gwen 2015 issues 1 through 5, not Spider-Gwen 2015 issues 1 through 5. You'll figure it out.
Thanks, Marvel Unlimited.
Yeah, and that, again, it's the trade that includes just the Edge of Spider-Verse one shot, and then
Most
goes
Wanted,
into
you called it?
kind of. Yes, yeah.
Okay, cool.
And it's by Jason Latour, Robbie Rodriguez. Yeah, I think I've read some of this. I don't think I've read these first 5 issues though, but yeah, we'll get into it. Anything else to talk about? Chris, you just recently had your podcast thing at that comic convention in Houston. How did that go?
It went great. It was a lot of fun. We talked about Catwoman. We had plenty of people show up early for the bar trivia that started immediately after our podcast, but that's fine. They got some great Catwoman talk.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Hey, and next time y'all should go because I didn't realize this, but Your Stupid Minds, they do giveaways at their live podcast recordings. You can win a widescreen DVD recording of a DVD of Catwoman and the Xbox version of the Catwoman video game. So
I mean, it's going to be different next time.
Nope, it's going to be the exact same.
We're not going to
better
be giving away Catwoman games.
Better be Catwoman.
Y'all are going to do a Neil Breen movie, and you're still going to be giving away Catwoman X-Men movies. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, there isn't a Neil Breen Xbox game, unfortunately.
I wonder if that works on my Series X. I should look.
I doubt it. I know some games do, but mostly Star Wars games.
Chris, is that live show available in podcast form?
It is available. It is shorter than our normal episodes. It is slightly worse audio than our normal episodes, but it is available. So check it out.
Very good. And is that replacing like a regular Your Stupid Minds episode this time around?
I mean, replacing is a harsh word, but it's an episode of the podcast.
You're right. It is.
Yes.
That's what I meant. Yes. Yeah. I shouldn't say replacing. It's temporarily displacing. How about that?
Sure.
You'll find it though. It's fun. I listened to it while doing stuff this weekend. It was fun.
Very good. Vince, what do you have going on? Doing stuff this weekend, listening to podcasts?
Folding laundry, going to the beach, doing stuff. I'm going to go see the Spider-Verse movie after we finish recording this, probably tomorrow. So that'll be fun. And just playing Tears of the Kingdom. That's what I've been doing. Zelda needs my help. Zelda and the #1 movie in America both need my help with promos.
Yeah. Let's plug them for sure. I got do I have anything interesting going on? I don't know. Just playing video games or not. It's summer in New York, It's an interesting summer.
Hot
It's getting
time
cold
summer in
and
the
hot.
city. Yep.
Hot time summer in the city. That's right.
Living's easy.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, and that's I'm easy living. But I think we're done here. Vince, thank you so much. I love you.
Love you too, bud.
Chris, thank you so much. I love you.
What? Did I leap back? Is it 2023?
Yeah, it's 2023.
I have to kill Kia.
What? Hold on. Hold on. We didn't need that wrinkle.
So Chris from 2053 has to kill Kia, or else it'll set into motion some type of apocalyptic future.
I guess maybe this Spider-Gwen episode is gonna have a real hot take from me that ruins a lot of stuff. Oh
Chris,
no!
You should have leaped earlier before we decided on the next episode.
Yes, you could have let us not announce it. Now we're stuck in it. We can't change it, and we're gonna ruin the future. I'm never gonna change my name to Shadow Kia. All right, listener,
so you're Sprite Kia forever.
I'm Sprite Kia forever. But listener, thank you so much for listening all the way through to our stupid bullshit at the end of the episode. We love you. We'll see you next time. Have a good night.